I want to start by saying that this is a really sobering and I believe hope-filled reflection, but I'm going to share what I saw spiritually in New York City at the Twin Towers. I also want to start this with a lot of caveats. I cannot explain to you what happened. I cannot explain to you theories about what happened. I think we're never going to quite be able to grasp it because we were never meant to grasp tragedy, made to grasp that. And so this is just a quick caveat that I can't touch on everything, but what I can do is share what I saw spiritually there because it helped me a lot. Historically, on visits to New York City, I pretty well avoid One World Trade Center because I normally have. I was a really sensitive child and I was really deeply traumatized, as we all were, by the descent of the Twin Towers, which I saw with everyone else on TV. We didn't know a lot about secondhand trauma. Media coverage was still pretty new. To this day, I think that's why I still have a fear of heights personally. And before you start, yes, I did pray about it. But when God nudged me down there on this visit, I had some resistance to the idea, but I grudgingly walked down there. And I was just like, what am I going to see? Like replayed memories, darkness, horror, standing by the eternal fountains, I opened my eyes and I saw, and at the first memorial, there was an angelic being hanging over the waters. It had a spear pointed down, and it was not gazing at the tourists. It was not gazing at anything. It was looking down into the depths. My sense was that it was guarding there, and I heard the phrase, the day of vengeance of our God. And we've had the day of people's vengeance, and that was terrible. And terrible things happened after that. But the day of vengeance of our God is a God who remembers. And as you can tell, I was a bit shaken, and I walked to the second memorial, and there I saw a muscular figure who hovered, holding a battle axe. And like the other, he was not interested in the hordes of people. He was intent on one thing, looking into the abyss. He was intent on the memory. And as I watched him, a vision flashed into my mind, and I almost started crying. It was a pair of huge hands with names written on them. And I heard, I don't forget the stories. And as I stood at the edge of the eternal fountains, I had this deep sense of God's working all things together, weaving even these truncated, cut short stories together. I saw him offering people places in the cloud of witnesses. I saw the Lord tying up loose ends. I saw also fierceness. And I felt that I heard the Lord say that he was replacing false vengeance with true justice, a justice that sets things right. As the tears floated again in the air, I wiped a tear away. And verses like Jeremiah 1:12, the Lord said to me, you have seen correctly, for I watch over my word to accomplish it. And Isaiah 49:16, which says, behold, on the palms I have inscribed you, your walls are before me continually, came into my mind as I stood and watched these rushing waters. I don't know why the towers fell or how that came to be. Obviously, we all have a lot of questions, some of which are not likely to be answered in this life. And those questions are really gnarly, like why guard a crime scene? Why not prevent the crime? But instead of answer to the interweavings of the story, that is so horrifying that I can't even begin to understand it myself, I became convinced of something else. That every single story, not just connected to this one, but that every single story has been written into the palms of God's hands. He has not forgotten, and neither are those that he has sent to watch. Unless you think my experience to be somewhat sentimental, a few days after that experience, I decided to dig into the archives a little to see who else had had an experience there. And I didn't find one there, but I found a headline that said, ex-FBI agent, I saw angels at the Flight 93 site. This was the site of the crash just outside DC. Lily Leonardi was an agent and liaison between the FBI and the families of the victims of Flight 93. And when Lily to survey the crash site. She was in total horror. She said, that's when I started seeing these like shimmery lights and it was kind of misty. And that's when I first saw like angels there. And I didn't say anything to the guys because you can imagine if I would have said, I just saw angels at the crash site, they'd have called the office and said, she lost her mind and tell her to go home. And that's real. But God is showing this thing to multiple people. Why? Because he didn't forget. Guardians have been posted to watch over legacies, stories, and memories. And while I don't have answers for suffering, I do know these two things. Suffering is never from God. Nothing ever gets wasted. We want clean answers to big, complex questions about suffering and the nature of God, but what we often get is far more profound instead. I remember.